they are technically cousins. We don't get a Six of Crows TV show. My life is ruined. And I still have not started. Hopeless. Hello and welcome to my next weekly reading vlog. So this week I have kind of a themed reading vlog planned, and that is that I want to try and finish reading the Chestnut Springs series by Elsie Silver. This is a romance series. They are cowboy romances set in Canada, which I don't really know anything about. I don't know anything about cowboys or ranches or bull riding or anything like that. We don't really have that in the UK, but I did read Flawless, so this is the first book. I read that in February and I did enjoy it a lot. I rated it 3.5 stars and I'm really excited to continue with the series. And honestly, I'm just in a fluffy, fun romance mood this week. I just kind of want something easy to pick up. The series as a whole follows, I think it's 3 brothers, one kind of adoptive brother, and then a mentee of one of the brothers, and all of the female love interests are also connected. So we've got best friends, sisters, etc. So I've already read the first book, which is Flawless, and that followed Rhett and Summer. Rhett is the youngest of the Eaton brothers and he is a professional bull rider, and one day he says something which is caught on camera which messes up his sponsorships. So he's caught sort of dissing on his sponsors, and obviously that's not a good idea. So his agent assigns him a babysitter, and this babysitter turns out to be the agent's daughter, Summer. She is no nonsense, very prim and proper, and she is determined to keep Rhett on track and on his best behaviour. But as you can imagine, it's romance, so things don't stay professional for very long. I haven't read the final 4 books in the series. So the second book is Heartless, then Powerless, then Reckless, and the final book is Hopeless. So that means that the next book I've got to read is Heartless, and this is following the oldest brother, and he needs a nanny for the summer for his son Luke. And what better nanny than Summer's best friend Willa, who is in need of a job for the summer. So this has got single dad trope, nanny trope, grumpy sunshine trope, and I've heard it's everyone's favourite book in the series as well, so I'm excited to pick this up. It is now Monday and I have just finished Heartless. This was so quick and easy to read. I've literally finished it in like 24 hours, which, you know, very happy about. I really enjoyed this. I definitely preferred it to Flawless. I really loved Cade and Willa together. They were just so sweet, and the most adorable part was seeing them come together as a family with Luke, the son, as well. I really loved getting to see how Cade comes to trust Willa because he's had his heart really broken and damaged in the past, and Willa just being really sweet with him and with Luke. This is just a really unproblematic book. Like they have a very mature and communicative relationship. I also really loved that there was no third act breakup. I most romance books, the third act breakup happens for literally no reason. Miscommunication or just something stupid happens. I really dislike it when there is an unnecessary third act breakup. So when there is no third act breakup, I'm very happy, and I'm pleased to say there is none in this book, and I can definitely see why this is a lot of people's favourites of the series. It was just really, really lovely, and of course there were steamy moments, but my favourite parts were the more sweet and loving moments between Cade and Willa and Luke. I just really, really enjoyed it. I think this is probably going to end up being my favourite of the series as well, although I do still have 3 to go, so we'll see. But at the minute I can't imagine how any of the other books could top it. I did end up giving this 4 stars, so I'm very happy about that. That means that the next book I've got to start is Powerless. So this is the 3rd book in the series, and this follows the kind of adoptive brother, and he ends up falling in love with the cousin of the family. I think she's their cousin. And I mean, you know, it does say that it's childhood best friends to lovers trope, which is my personal favourite trope, so I'm quite excited about that. But I'm not entirely sure how I feel about him technically being an adoptive brother of the family and falling in love with a cousin. They did consistently say in Heartless, oh no, they're friends, they're not cousins, like, so I'm just not sure how I feel about that. This is also the longest book in the series at 450 pages, so I'm hoping I'll still be able to get through this pretty quickly because these are very, very easy to read. They're really fun and fluffy and easy to digest, so hopefully I'll still be able to read this pretty quick and we'll still be able to accomplish my goal of finishing the series in a week. So I will let you know how I get on with this. The other book that I'm currently reading is a NetGalley arc, so I'm about to start that. I haven't actually started that yet, and that is In the Shallows by Tanya Byrne. My cat is about to jump up onto my lap. Hello. Say hi. Are you saying hi? Yeah. Yes, so In the Shallows by Tanya Byrne. That is a YA sapphic contemporary, and it follows 2 girls, I'm not sure if they were best friends or if they were dating, who kind of spend a couple months together, and then all of a sudden one of them is in a accident out at sea and she ends up with amnesia. She can't remember who she is, she can't remember any of her friends or what her life was like, anything. And then it goes on to 18 months later, I think it says in the synopsis, and I don't know if they have to try and figure out what happened to her while also falling back in love with each other, but I'm excited to see how it turns out. I haven't read the author's first book, which was After Love. That was a more paranormal romance. I believe there were ghosts involved in that. I have been debating whether I do still want to read that or not because I have owned it for a number of years now and haven't got around to reading it yet. So I'm on the fence about it, so I think that In the Shallows will be my deciding factor on that. I'm gonna go and start Powerless, and I will check back in with you guys tomorrow about what my thoughts are on the series so far. So it is now Tuesday and I have just gotten to 50% of the way through Powerless and I'm having issues with it. It's very easy to read, easy to digest, blah 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 blah. But as I mentioned when I was introducing this book, there is a kind of issue in that it keeps being brought up how Jasper is kind of like, you know, he's not officially adopted into the family, but he's basically adopted into the Eaton family. And it keeps being brought up how Sloane is essentially his cousin. Like, she is the cousin of his brothers. And he keeps referring to all of the Eaton boys, you know, Cade and Rhett and Beau, as his brothers. So that would make her his cousin. They've just kissed for the first time, and I just can't quite get around the fact that they are technically cousins. I just don't know how to get past that. To me, if you are calling her cousins your brothers, then she's your cousin, right? I honestly, I don't know. But I can already tell that I'm going to end up enjoying this a lot less than Heartless, which is unfortunate because I was on kind of a high with that one, but I just can't get over the whole cousin thing. Miss Elsie Silver, what are you doing? So I'm gonna go and try and read a bit more of this now. I'm not sure whether I'll finish this book today because I do still have 250 pages left, and I'm going over to my friends tonight, and then I'm also seeing some friends tomorrow, so I'm not sure whether I'll actually be able to finish the series in a week. But I'm going to try, and I'm going to try and push through this book today, because until this evening I don't have any plans. So I'm going to try and finish as much of this book as I can today. Namely because I just want to get past this whole cousin thing. I just can't. There's no way getting around it for me. I just don't know how Jasper is not seeing her as family when he sees her cousins as his brothers. Like, there's logic, right? I just feel there were a lot of ways that you could create a connection between them, to create a childhood best friends connection between them without making them technically related. So we'll see. I have now finished Powerless by Elsie Silver, the third book in the Chestnut Springs series. And I think that you can probably tell by my lack of enthusiasm is that I didn't really enjoy this one. As I mentioned earlier, there was just a lot that I found to be a bit icky, even though they're not blood related. I will say that there's not, anything like that. But he calls her cousins his brothers, and I just can't get over the fact that they are technically family. Like, you don't have to be blood related to be family. Throughout this, people kept saying to them, oh, like, isn't she technically your cousin and stuff? And I just, why would you do that? Like, there's so many other ways that they could be connected or could have known each other when they were younger or whatever. It's just not for me. So I rated this 3 stars in the end. It was my least favourite of the Chestnut Springs series that I've read so far. I do like how there was kind of an emotional aspect to it, in that there is a lot of dealing with Jasper's childhood. So there was a death of a family member in his childhood, and also there's a lot of trauma in Sloane's family history as well. And also I found that the side characters really shone in this. I really loved getting to see glimpses into Willow and Cade's life and into Rhett and Summer's life as well. But that was kind of it. It was a bit funny, there was some banter, but I just couldn't get over the whole cousin thing. That's it, really. I also felt like, even though they were childhood best friends to lovers, I think we should have had more flashbacks to when they were in their childhood, so that we could get to see more of the pining, because that is really the epitome of the best friends to lovers trope, is the pining. You have the angst and the pining, and I didn't feel like there was enough of that in this book. So yeah, that was that. So the next one I've got to read is Reckless, which is the story following Winter, who is Summer's sister, and Theo, who is Rhett's mentee. Hopefully it'll be better than Powerless for me, but I'm not going to start that tonight because I'm kind of burnt out from not enjoying Powerless that much, and I read basically the whole thing today. The other book I'm currently reading is In the Shallows still. That's my NetGalley read. I'm about 200 pages into that now, so just over halfway, and I'm also not really enjoying that. I don't know what's going on. I think I've had too much of a successful time so far in March, and now I'm not enjoying what I'm reading. My issue with that one is that we've got this girl who's got amnesia, and our main character Mara is sort of battling between obviously having known Nico, the girl who's got amnesia, before the accident, and also re-getting to know her now after the accident. And I'm just struggling with the fact that we seem to be jumping a lot forward in time, and the dialogue is just a bit stilted as well. So we're jumping forward a lot in time. So we're at New Year's Eve one chapter, and then like without really any explanation we were suddenly in May and they were talking about their GCSEs. I was just like, where'd that come from? And yeah, the dialogue is just a bit stilted. I don't really feel any connection to the characters, and the side characters as well, namely Mara's friends, all feel like the same character. I could not tell you the difference between any of them, and there's so many of them as well. It's not feeling as successful of a week for me this week, which is very unfortunate. Unless Elsie Silver kind of pulls it out of the bag, I'm not sure that Reckless or Hopeless will be 5-star reads for me. They are probably still going to be enjoyable, and I'm still going to have enjoyed my time reading this week. I think I'm just feeling a bit bummed out from not really enjoying Powerless, especially after enjoying Heartless so much yesterday. I'm just feeling a bit bummed out. So hopefully things will turn around, get a good sleep, brush it off, and start again with Reckless tomorrow. This is a very short YA horror. It's now Thursday, and I did not really read anything yesterday. I didn't start Reckless yesterday. I did read a little bit of In the Shallows, and I've now got about 50 pages left of that. But I was kind of still a bit bummed out from not really enjoying Powerless that much, and I just needed a bit of a break. So I just hung out with some friends yesterday. But today I've gotten back into the swing of finishing the Chestnut Springs series. So I've now read 120 pages of Reckless, and I was fully not expecting there to be the accidental pregnancy trope in this book. I know a lot of people hate that trope. It's not one that I personally hate with a vengeance. I think if it is done right, then I don't mind it necessarily. I think that this one had an interesting take in that this is, I guess, mild spoilers for Reckless. So if you don't want any spoilers at all for this book, then just skip forward a little bit. But I would say that I'm surprised it's not taken up kind of by the whole book. Like, we had the accidental pregnancy found out, and like literally within these first 120 pages, we're now 18 months later and the baby's 9 months old. So I'm finding that interesting in that it's not taking up like the whole book. I quite like that approach to it, so it's not necessarily the whole focus of the book. So hopefully I will continue to enjoy how this author tackles that trope, and also that this book will hopefully turn out to be better for me than Powerless was. I'm already preferring Theo as a male love interest to Jasper, but we'll see how it goes. And I do really like Winter as a female main character because she's very complex. Like, there's a lot of family history going on with her mum and her ex-husband as well. And she also has dealt with miscarriages in the past, which adds a emotional impact to the story as well. So I'm enjoying that aspect, and hopefully I'll continue to like this. And then just gotta hope and pray that I can finish the series by the end of the week. Saturday, so I didn't really read much yesterday. I read about 80-ish pages of Reckless, and then I went to Norwich for the day for my mum's best friend's birthday, and we had a really lovely time. We went for dinner and stuff, which you saw obviously, and then we went to a tea blending workshop, which was just amazing. Shout out to Bird and Blend, not sponsored, but I wish I was. That was really incredible. The people who run that workshop are so good at what they do and also so knowledgeable as well. We really learnt a lot about all the different teas and stuff, and me and my mum have actually had a subscription to Bird and Blend for about a year, so that's when you get like free teas in the post every month, and it's all like loose leaf blend, and it's all like, you know, really good for the environment and stuff, and all of their teas are just so amazing. I even got my mum a Bird and Blend tea advent calendar for Christmas a couple months ago, which was also incredible. And yeah, we had just a really great time. We also had tea cocktails, which was so much fun. Me and Erin both had Mahitis, so that was really cool. They were very yummy. And yeah, we tried loads of different teas, and we also got to make our own teas, which we can't try yet. You have to let them ferment for like 2 to 3 days in order to properly get the sort of flavours out of what you've put in. But I made, so you can make free teas. I made a rooibos, cacao and coconut tea, a black tea, cacao and cinnamon tea, and a rooibos, cloves, chai mix and lemon thyme tea, which I'm not sure about that last one. I'm not sure how it would taste, but I just kind of wanted to make something a bit different, otherwise it was all going to be chocolate based, so I didn't want to have it all just be the exact same tea. It was really, really great. I would highly recommend if you are near a Bird and Blend tea shop. I think they have quite a few locations. So like, I know they've got one in Manchester, a couple in London, obviously, so various places, or obviously one in Norwich. I would really, really recommend going to a workshop, or even just going to visit the shop, because they know what they're talking about, and all of their teas are so amazing. Like, that is the tea that I have every day, is their teas. I would highly recommend the chocolate digestives tea, which, if you don't want a chocolate digestives tea, what are you doing with your life? And also I would highly recommend the Bell's breakfast tea, so that's like a kind of rose black tea blend, really, really great. And I also really love their butter toffee popcorn tea. Oh my god, that's so good. That's a rooibos blend, so that's like not got any caffeine in. If you don't like caffeine in your tea, highly recommend that. It literally, like, it, I can't even explain what it tastes like. It's just amazing, and the smell as well, insane. If you want any tea advice, I'm your gal. But anyway, so all of that meant that I did not really read yesterday, so I only read like 80 pages of Reckless. As I said, I didn't start a NetGalley read. However, my next one, which I have now started today, I've read about 50 pages of it, so I'm not entirely too sure how I feel about it yet, and that is The Poisons We Drink by Bethany Baptiste. I am really excited about this because I know that the author has had a lot of issues in her publishing journey. Like, I know that there's just been a lot of like ups and downs and back and forth with her publisher, making like the publication of her book really like stressful and awkward for whatever reasons. So I am excited to read this and to be able to promote it and discuss it, and obviously, you know, encourage people to read it themselves. It is out in the UK, but I think the publication has now been pushed back in the US, perhaps. I'm not really too sure on the details. Anyway, I love the cover and I love the premise. I love the whole kind of love spells and like witchery sort of thing, so I think that sounds really great. It's kind of all I know about it at the minute. But Reckless, I'm now just under 100 pages from finishing it, so that's what I'm going to do tonight, and hopefully that means that I will be able to read the entirety of the last book, Hopeless, in a day tomorrow in order to be able to complete this challenge. Otherwise, I've literally failed on my very first reading challenge of this channel. Wish me luck. I also have quite a busy day tomorrow, so not sure when I'm going to fit it in. We'll see. Anyway, Reckless. So I'm about 100 pages from the end. I'm definitely enjoying this a lot more than I did Powerless, because A, they're not cousins. They're not related in any way. B, obviously it has the accidental pregnancy trope, which as I sort of said, I wasn't too sure about how I felt about that. but I've really loved seeing how that has impacted these characters, so Winter and Theo, how it's impacted them emotionally. I think that it's added a really nice deeper element to the story, which I felt like Powerless was missing a bit, that kind of like deeper element. Yeah, I'm really enjoying that. I think they also have really great chemistry. I think Theo is a much better male love interest than Jasper. That's just my personal opinion. And I'm also loving that we're getting to see a lot more of Summer in this book. So Summer was obviously the female love interest from Flawless, the first book in the series. And in that book, there's a lot of discussion about her childhood and her relationship with her sister Winter, who is obviously the female main character in this book. And I really like getting to see how they are developing as sisters, how their relationship is growing. I think that that's really great. I always love stories that feature sisters. It's such a special relationship for an author to be able to capture, and if they can capture it properly, then I think it's really, really great to be able to do that. So yes, really enjoying this. Hopefully nothing will go wrong before the end, because at the minute this is feeling like on the par with Heartless for me. Like, this is feeling like a 4-star read, so we will see. The proof that I got back today, I actually gasped out loud when I saw this. Like, I don't think I even requested it, so thank you very much to the publisher for sending this to me and trusting that I would like it, because I definitely will. I am obsessed with the TV show that was developed from Shadow and Bone, which means that the proof I got was The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. I can't even explain how excited I am for this book. And like, just look at how stunning that is. I have pre-ordered the Waterstones exclusive edition, so I'm gonna have 2 copies of it, but I don't care. Like, I got a proof copy. The gal can't be mad about that. So this comes out in April. I'm not sure I'm gonna get to read it before then. We'll see. There's just so many to read. First of all, the cover. A moment of silence for the cover. But the back of this book, the back of the proof, says, "You cannot be this person, not if you hope to survive." And yet, here I am. I just love Leigh Bardugo so much. I actually can't even explain how much I love her. So this is a completely new book for Leigh Bardugo. This is set in a completely different world to any of her other books. So it's not set in the Grishaverse. It's not set in the same world as Ninth House either, which was obviously her first adult books. This is another adult book from her, so it's another adult fantasy. I believe it's a standalone. I don't think it's planned to be a series. So this is set during the Spanish Inquisition, I think. And honestly, I don't even really know what it's about. I just know I'm excited. Leigh Bardugo just has this way of writing, and this way of writing her characters as well, that you just fall in love with them. Even if they're not, I guess, particularly likeable people or whatever, or they do bad things. And I mean, obviously I am obsessed with Six of Crows. Like, actually obsessed. And if we don't get a Six of Crows TV show, my life is ruined. It's not ruined right now, because I have a proof of The Familiar. Very happy, very happy. Thank you so much to the publisher for sending this my way. I am eternally grateful. And I also ordered some books that arrived yesterday, and then I also did a little book haul while we were in Norwich as well. I'm going to save for my end of March book haul, which at the minute is looking pretty big. Slightly concerning how many books are in the pile of what I've hauled this month. I mean, I will say I haven't bought them all. A lot of them were sent to me from the publishers, which I'm very grateful for. Or they were obviously the Percy Jackson books, which I obviously bought like before Christmas. So, you know, girl math, money, it doesn't count, they're free. But that stack is concerningly large. So I would keep your eye out for a very big March book haul if I were you. I'm going to go and finish reading Reckless. Sunday. I finished Reckless this morning,
and I'm very pleased to say that I really enjoyed it much more than the third book, Powerless. I think I'm going to end up giving this 4 stars in the end, which I'm really pleased about. I feel like we've redeemed ourselves with this series. I really enjoyed Theo as a love interest, I really enjoyed Winter as a female love interest. I really enjoyed the emotional development that this story had as well, with the character growth of Winter. I think that she became a really lovable character throughout this. I think especially because she was so cold and like unlikable, especially in Flawless, the first book, and even at the start of this book, you almost, even to the reader, she's presenting this kind of cold exterior to protect herself, and I really enjoyed getting to know her and getting to see her grow as a person. Ended up really enjoying this, so which means that somehow today I've got to read all of Hopeless. It's not that long. I think it is possibly the shortest book in the series, actually. I can't remember how long Flawless was, but this is 386 pages long. I think that is doable. I'm not entirely sure how much reading I'm going to get done tonight. It is currently about 3 p.m. and I haven't started it yet, and in order to complete a challenge I need to finish this by midnight, so might be a late one. I feel fairly confident. That I'll be able to do it. Also, I'm excited for this book because it's fake engagement, so I'm excited for that aspect because I do love a bit of the fake dating trope, fake engagement trope. I really enjoy that. And I believe it's also a little bit possibly enemies to lovers, because you have Beau, who is obviously the middle Eton brother, and the female love interest is Bailey, who is one of the children of like their sort of nemesis family, I think. I can't really remember. They were brought up in the first book, but they haven't really been brought up since then, so I'm not entirely sure what the deal is with that. I'm excited for fake dating trope. That is always a win. Hopefully I'll finish this tonight. So I'm about to go and drive to my auntie's and stay there tonight, so I'll also have time with the puppy to contend with, because obviously I want to spend time with, my auntie and uncle, but you know, mainly time with the puppy. So I have time with the puppy versus time meant to be spent reading my book. So we'll see if the dog actually allows me to do that. But yeah, I will try and keep you updated with my progress. It is Sunday night. It's about 20 to 11 and I still have not started Hopeless. So we have 1 hour and 20 minutes, or I'm gonna kind of count it as until I go to sleep. So we have until I go to sleep to finish all 386 pages of this book. I don't know if that's doable. I went swimming, so I'm very tired. We're gonna give it a go. The reason I did not read anything else this evening was because obviously I came to my auntie's. You would have seen the dog. And yeah, my time was just spent with the dog and with my, obviously, auntie and uncle. And we were watching Jurassic Park, which is always a shout, but did unfortunately mean that I have not read any of my books, so I'm gonna try to read the whole thing before I fall asleep. In theory, it's doable because obviously it's quite an easy to digest book, so it's not like one that I really have to sort of, I don't want to say pay attention to every word because that sounds like I'm skimming it, but it's not one that, you know, is really like dense and hard to comprehend. So let's have a go.
as you will have seen, I did in fact manage to finish Hopeless in, I think it was about 2 hours, which is a pretty insane reading speed even for me. I normally read quite quickly, but that was pretty intense. So I am glad that I managed to finish this. I actually ended up really enjoying this. I think it actually really helped to just sit down and just read the whole thing in one go, because I ended up just feeling so connected to the characters, especially to Beau. I thought he was really, really lovely, and I found that this book was really funny. The other books had, you know, some banter, especially Heartless was quite funny, but this one was really funny. There was a lot of sarcasm and just a really great connection between Beau and Bailey. I felt that they really got each other and got each other's sense of humour, and it could, you know, the sense of humour could be quite dark at times, but I loved it. It was right up my street. And yeah, I ended up really, really enjoying this. I've had a look at some people's reviews because I remembered that when this came out, and I feel like it was kind of mixed opinions, but I've seen some people saying that they didn't really like Bailey as a main character, and while I agree that she could have had a bit more of a personality, I still liked her, and I still thought that her and Beau together worked really well. There was, obviously, if you've read this book then you'll know the scene that I'm talking about. There was that one scene that I was like, that does not need to be included. Just very unnecessary. But that aside, I did like this a lot. So that means that I completed my goal of finishing the Chestnut Springs series in a week. There were times when I thought it wasn't going to be possible. There were times when I was like, wow, I've gonna failed my first ever reading challenge straight off. But I did it. I finished the final 4 books in the series in a week, and so now I'm going to rank the series. So we'll go from the bottom up. I feel like based off of this video you'll probably be able to tell exactly what my rankings are. Obviously, as we all know, at the bottom is going to be Powerless. Powerless was my least favourite. I rated it 3 stars. I've discussed my thoughts on this. I don't agree with them technically being cousins. So that's that. That's my least favourite. Book at the spot number 4 is actually the first book in the series, and that is Flawless. I don't know if I'm rating this at the 4th spot because I have I can't remember what the exact term for it is. It's something like recency bias, where, you know, like new releases or things you've consumed more recently are ranked or rated more highly in your brain than things that are further ago, like longer ago. But I did obviously read this only a month ago. I read it in February and I rated this 3.5 stars, and I do think I still agree with that. I didn't love the relationship. I liked it, but I didn't love it like I do with Heartless or whatever. So yeah, number 4. And now I have a bit of a tricky situation because I obviously know what my number 1 is, but I don't know, out of Reckless and Hopeless, which one I prefer more. I think that based off of that one scene in Hopeless, this is gonna have to go in the number 3 spot. I'm not gonna say what the scene was about because A, my family watches this and I don't want them to know that. Don't want them to know what that scene was. And also because I don't really want to talk about what that scene was about just on the internet. So you can go look up good reviews. There are reviews of it out there. So purely based off of that, this is taking the middle spot of the series. I did still really like it. I'm not entirely sure what my rating of it is going to be yet. Probably either 3.5 or 4 stars. But purely based on the fact that I'm not sure whether it is 4 stars or not, that's why it's going to have to go below Reckless, because I know that that is a 4-star read. Number 3. Number 2 is Reckless. This was Theo Winter's story and I really loved it. I really loved the emotional side of things in here. There are trigger warnings in here for miscarriage and infertility, but I really liked it. I thought that it had a really great emotional impact. I thought that the characters had great chemistry. I really enjoyed Theo and Winter as the main characters, and yeah, that's why it's going to be number 2. So that means, of course, like basically everyone else who's read this series, my number 1 goes to Heartless. This was book number 2 in the series. This was Cade and Willa's story. And obviously I've already spoken about this, but I just love them together. And from reading the 3 books that came after this, I just think that Willa is probably my favourite character in the series. She's so lovely and headstrong and outspoken for those people that she loves, and I just think it's so great. I love her. I loved seeing her pop up in the other books and seeing her fight for mainly the female main characters, and Cade and Willa together are adorable. So that was number 1. Okay, so this stack is like in reverse, but whatever. So I hope that you enjoyed my reading vlog of reading the whole Chestnut Springs series in a week. This was quite intense to try and complete in 1 week. Even though they were so quick and easy to read, I just definitely did feel quite stressed when it got to, as I said, 20 to 11 last night and I hadn't even started the final book. I read it in 2 hours, so I am, yeah, very pleased to have finished the series. It's not often that I finish a series so quickly from starting it. I don't often, like, there are so many series that I'm in the middle of that I started years ago, like that I read the first book years ago and have not even gotten around to carrying on yet. So for me to have started and finished a whole series of 5 books in about a month, quite an achievement for me. So yeah, pleased with that. I'm very pleased. I don't quite know how to like sum it up. I know that this series is beloved by a lot of romance readers, and while I can see why, I can definitely see the appeal of it, I'm not sure that I was necessarily the target audience for this. I think namely because I am from the UK, so I don't have any experience of the whole sort of cowboy side of life, like the whole living on a ranch and bull riding and all of that sort of stuff. It's not really an area of life that I'm familiar with, and because of that I just felt that I didn't connect to the, I guess, attraction of having a whole series be cowboy romances like people who are perhaps from the US or from Canada might, because they would obviously have maybe kind of grown up around it. So yes, but it wasn't a bad series. They weren't bad books. I do understand the appeal of them, and I definitely think that Elsie Silver has since Flawless come on in her writing style. You can definitely see how she's gotten a lot more comfortable writing characters and writing dialogue and stuff like that, and you know, by Hopeless, that she was so much more able to bring in a sense of humour and stuff into the story as well. So I did enjoy that, and I'm not opposed to reading more from Elsie Silver. I know that there is a new book from her coming out next month in April. I believe that's called, is it called Wild Love? Something along those lines. I've got no idea what it's about, but I'm not opposed to picking it up if I see some positive reviews of it. So I'd say that this was a pretty successful reading challenge. Read 4 books in a week. I also finished my NetGalley arc that I was reading, which was In the Shallows. That was probably a 3-star read for me. I didn't really enjoy it. I think it just felt quite stilted, and the characters read very young as well, and the timelines were just jumping all over the place a lot of the time. So yeah, that one I didn't really enjoy it, and I know that I said earlier in this vlog that reading that was kind of going to depend on how I would feel about reading Afterlove by Tanya Byrne. I'm going to kind of sit with it for a little bit. I'm planning to do a inspired by Becca in the books, a these books will self-destruct in a year video, so possibly Afterlove might go into that, because I have obviously had it since it was published. It was a fairly pick for one of their boxes. It was a extra paperback that they included, but because it's been what, 3 years or whatever since it came out, and I have not had any inclination whatsoever to pick it up, I'm just not sure that I need to keep it. So I'm gonna sit with it for a bit, and especially with the fact that I haven't liked the author's second book, will I like their debut? I'm not sure. As I said, I'm gonna sit with it and I'm going to make that video, and it'll probably be part of that, so you know, spoilers or not. I read 4 physical books in this vlog and 1 NetGalley book, and I would consider it a pretty successful reading vlog, even though obviously I didn't have any 5-star reads. I do think that Heartless came pretty close, so maybe I'll even retrospectively change my rating from 4 to maybe 4.5. We'll see. I hope that you enjoyed this vlog. I hope that you enjoyed me stressing out trying to read these books. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you wanna, and I'll see you in another video soon. Bye!